proceedings with an opening prayer. So in our usual manner, I would like every one of us in our various respective faiths, let's take the next 1 minute to just take our opening prayers, observe our prayers individually, committing this sessions we have into the hands of the Almighty. And as always, trusting God that it's going to be an insightful and impacting period. So the opening prayer right now, individually, please. All right, we pray that the Almighty God accept all of our supplications. Amen. Thank you very much once again. Distinguished participants, it's my pleasure to welcome every single one of us to the 2025 webinar of the Association, free webinar of the Association of Chartered Certified System Accountants. My name is Lambert Isaac, and as always, I will be the anchor for this particular webinar. I'm the regional representative of the association. The association has an affiliate body, the CIBE. Thank you very much. And it's good to see our regional representative, the Global One, Professor Paul Adejola. Professor Paul, you're welcome. He's one of our facilitators, and we'll be introducing him
Lambe.
All right, much later. So, distinguished participants, I want to quickly give us a rundown of the activities we have for today. As always, it's a compact one, but I promise you it's going to be an insightful and exciting time and conversation together. So we have taken the opening prayer. Very shortly, I'll be taking a 5-minute welcome address just to set the tone for all of the conversation we'll be having in the next 2 or so hours. And then we will take the keynote for about 10 minutes from our regional representative, Professor Paul Adejola, who is based in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, in the United States. We'll bring him on board very shortly. After which, we're going to take brief comment from our partners. As you know, ACCSA Global is a global body, and we have partners spread across, all corners of the world. I know that Dr. Faglo is already joining us in from Ghana. We'll be taking his brief just in about a minute. Goodwill. We'll take from Rwanda, from Ghana, from UK, from Ethiopia, Canada, Australia, USA, and Istanbul, for those who are already online. After which, we will go straight into the first presentation. The first presentation is on emotional intelligence, leveraging emotional intelligence for better leadership and management. I'll do a proper introduction of our resource person who will be taking that. After which, we're going to give a 15-minute window for questions and answers after the first presentation. And then afterwards, we'll go into the second presentation. The topic will be on financial management in uncertain times, strategies for resilience and stability. And it will be taken by no other person than our erudite Professor Paul Adejola. Of course, after which we're still going to have some feedback, questions, and comments. Let me also say that towards the end, when we're taking the closing remark, I have some really good, exciting news, particularly for ACCSA Global members. But the exciting news I'm going to be sharing with us cuts across everyone. I tell you, the news is really exciting. So please stay tuned and look forward to that. After which we take the wrap up and then we bring the proceedings to an end. So thank you very much once again. I can see students of Bingham University in their droves, undergraduate students, postgraduate students, and even PhD students. Thank you very much for coming. At some point, we'll recognize you as well. And I can see all our professional colleagues in ACCSA also joining on this very important webinar. Thank you very much. So without wasting much time, those will be my own opening remarks and welcome address for now. But to take the keynote and set the tone appropriately for our conversation today, please permit me to bring on board our regional representative in ACCSA Global, all the way from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, in the United States, Professor Paul Adejola. If you don't mind, please can you unmute and please give Prof a round of applause.
Welcome, Prof.
Welcome, Prof. Thank you.
Welcome,
thank you.
welcome, sir.
Oh my God.
welcome. We're
Thank
happy to
you.
have you.
Thank you.
The love is massive.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ma. Greetings from
University,
Guru.
All right. Greetings from the United States of America in the city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Let me first and foremost say thank you, Dr. Lambert Isaac, for that introduction and for representing ACCSA Global as usual. And it will interest all of us to know that he just came back from Federal University of Technology, Owerri, this morning. And you can see now coordinating another program. And very early hour tomorrow morning, Sunday, precisely like 5:30 a.m., he will be on his way to Morocco, Casablanca, to represent the association again for another training conference. That is Grace, more Grace, Dr. Isaac Lambert, and to our resource person from UK, and you've done wonderfully well, and so one good turn deserve another. Our participants at the editions of the three streams of the UK conference have now recovered from your presentation and the knowledge imparted. And we know today will not be an exception. So you are welcome on board. To other partners of ACCSA Global, I can see Dr. Afaglo from Ghana, others from other parts of the world. I say welcome to this edition, the very first edition of the ACCSA Global Free Webinar for 2025. I will quickly take a keynote address, then we start the presentation proper. And like Dr. Lambert mentioned, I will not want any one of you to miss that good news he's going to share with us after the first paper or after the second paper presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this timely and critical discourse on financial management in uncertain times, strategies for resilience and stability. It is no longer news that we are living in an era where economic unpredictability is no longer the exception, but the norm. Inflation is surging, global markets volatile, businesses are struggling with supply chain disruptions, and financial uncertainty looms over individuals and organizations alike. And I give a good example. I say, whereas economists talk about galloping inflation, hyperinflation, we have also inflicted on ourselves in some part of Africa countries what I call self-made inflation. You go to the market in the morning, you price a particular commodity. They tell you, for example, that it is 500,000. Go back few hours later, they will tell you it's 1 million, give you a different price. In today's interconnected world, several key statistics underscore the prevailing economic and geopolitical uncertainties. We have economic instability. For example, the International Monetary Fund forecasts a slight decline in global growth to 2.9% in 2024, down from 3% in 2023, according to World Economic Forum. Also, inflation expectations have been pared back from their high levels across all regions, yet concerns persist about its persistence. In terms of geopolitical tensions, over 165,273 political violence events were recorded worldwide from July 2023 to June 2024 alone. I'm just giving us these statistics for us to see how uncertain the future is. But then, with the right information, as I keep saying it, when you lay hand on right and timely information and you take practical steps about this information you are equipped with, you are bound to experience transformation. So that when others are even saying there is a casting down, your own testimony will be what? There is a lifting up.
Lifting up,
And I
yeah.
put it this way humorously. Even with the uncertainty in the world, the thicker the darkness, the brighter our light shine. And for you to shine the light, you need knowledge. It's part of what we are doing today. When we look at also in terms of market volatility, global equity markets have experienced mixed performances, with US stocks recently slumping due to concerns over rapid policy changes and geopolitical tension everywhere. Just yesterday, I read also from news that the IRS, that's Internal Revenue Service, here in the United States, have laid off a minimum of 6,000 staff. 6,000. So you can see the uncertainty is just skyrocketing. And in terms of oil price declines, oil prices dropped over 2% recently. Now the question is no longer if a crisis will come. We are already in the crisis. But I and you will ask, how prepared are we to face it? I have good news for us. Uncertainty does not have to mean financial instability. History has shown us that the most resilient individuals and businesses are not those who fear change. One thing about life that is constant is change. But those who embrace it, adapt to it, and strategically position themselves for opportunities amid the chaos are bound to make real transformation and to go up there. In today's sessions, we'll go beyond numbers and spreadsheets with no accountant, debit, and credit, as discovered by that Italian priest Luca Pacioli, 1494. We will explore practical, actionable strategies that will help you build financial resilience, manage cash flow effectively, make smart investment decisions, and leverage technology to navigate economic challenges. More importantly, we will delve into the human side of financial management because in times of crisis, it's not just about what is in your bank account. Or how do you explain a multi-millionaire, a billionaire with all the millions, with all the billions in his or a bank account, yet commit suicide? So it's not only about money, it's about your mindset. Your mindset. I've said it severally in some of our presentations that our mind is the battlefield where the battles of life are either won or lost. If you win it in your mind, the probability that you win it in real life is very high. But if you lose it in your mind, if you are not careful, you're gonna lose it in real life. So your emotional intelligence and your ability to lead with clarity in the face of uncertainty is very crucial. So fasten your seatbelt, ladies and gentlemen. This is not just another financial discussion. It's a roadmap to thriving in turbulent times. Let's embark on this journey together and discover how to turn financial adversity into financial strength. Thank you for your attention as we take the first paper. You are welcome once again.
Thank you very much, Professor Paul Adejola, all the way from the United States. We sincerely appreciate that keynote, which has, of course, set the tone now for our conversation today. In a minute or two, I'm going to bring on our first presenter, after which I've just given an abridged profile of, after which I've taken a very brief profile. But just before then, we'd like to quickly listen to goodwills from our partners. Let me start with Dr. Afaglo, all the way from Ghana. He keeps faith with our webinar, and he's always open to collaborate with us. Please go ahead, Dr. Afaglo. Yes, Dr. Afaglo, you have the floor.
Yeah, Dr. Lambert.
Yes.
I wish ACCSA Global. That
I think network there.
All right. Yeah, I think there's a challenge of network. All right, Dr. Faglo, I know there's a challenge of network. We'll come back to you sometimes.
Stability and at the same time. It is really with ACCSA. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Faglo, for the keynote. Very quickly, do we have Grace from Kigali, Rwanda? Well, I haven't seen her. I'm sure she'll join in very shortly. I don't know if Tolu Oralusi from the UK is here. Well, Tolu, if you can hear me, just keep it in mind. We'll call you at some time. Do we have Hash? Hash from Ethiopia, Addis Ababa precisely. Bestie from Canada. Okay, Professor Noguera from the United States. All right, now I imagine that some of our partners will join us as we go along. But please let me quickly bring on board, if she's still online, Mrs. Ebere from Federal University of Technology, Owerri. Would like to just hear your goodwill right here in Nigeria. Mr. Ebere, are you still online?
Yes, I am.
Okay, please unmute and let's have your goodwill.
Thank you, Dr. Lampe. I'm really impressed by the way you work. Honestly, I am totally moved what is happening in ACCSA Global. I think it's going to give a greater knowledge and insights to the things we are yet to uncover. As our prof said it, honestly speaking, sometimes in the midst of the chaos everywhere in every country, not only Nigeria, a lot of people do not know where to start or where to go. But I believe with the financial literacy we are getting from our organization, it's actually going to help us move forward with our personal lives and our association and wherever we work in general. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Madam Berry. We appreciate you. And thanks to Prof, who is always pushing us to give out our best.
Yes.
I recognize the word you mentioned. You're a well-traveled person. So if you tell us that ACCSA is adding value, we believe you very much. All right, distinguished participants, at this point, we'd like to take our first presentation. And the presentation is going to be on emotional intelligence. And we're going to focus precisely on leveraging emotional intelligence for better leadership and management. To take this for us is no other person than Anne Haley. But please permit me to take a very short profile of hers. Anne Haley is a senior fellow of the Higher Education Academy and a dynamic educator with a multifaceted career spanning visual arts, education, and innovation. With an unwavering dedication to fostering learning, Anne has left a significant impact in both academia and the arts, blending creativity with academic rigor. Just permit me to just conclude by saying that Anne has several expertise: arts, education, innovation, course development, curriculum leadership, visual art practice, and exhibition management, in addition to integrating creative and analytical approaches in education. Of course, she also has expertise in higher education, leadership, and management. And Haley's diverse experience and achievements reflects our dedication to education and arts, our innovative approach to teaching, combining creative and mathematical discipline, continues to inspire students and educators alike. Distinguished participants, with a warm round of applause, please help me make welcome for the first presentation, Anne Haley. By the way, I've listened in person to her, and I tell you, you're going to really, really enjoy this session. Thank you very much. A round of applause for Anne, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone. Lovely to kind of e-meet you all. I'm going to share some slides, if that is okay. I'm used to Teams, so let me just make sure that this all goes okay on Zoom. And let me just hit play on those if I can. Okay, can you guys see that? All okay?
Yes, we can see your slides.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, guys. So I want to start by talking about this thing, emotional intelligence, sometimes referred to as EQ, interchangeably. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Anne. Please go ahead.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
so EQ, EI, it's being talked about a lot more now in leadership and in management. And whereas before, when we talk about business, that business is quite like a hard and fast subject, especially I'm sure for the accountants, the finance numbers. But more and more, we're considering people, the people we work with and the teams we work with. And as the black boundaries between our home life and our work life become more and more blurred, I'm sure often a lot of us now work long into the night, long into the weekend, on our phones, on our laptops, on our computers at home. Emotional intelligence is becoming increasingly important. And I want to start with this quote by Aristotle: the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And why is this? Because we work with teams. We work a lot with teams. And Google, I'm going to move to the next slide, if I can. Okay, here we go. So Google, sorry, let me just work, decided that they were going to do a study, and they wanted to find out what was the magic ingredient that facilitated excellent teams. And I actually want to throw it out to you guys if possible. I don't know if we can put it in the chat or people can call out, but what would you say is the key ingredient that means, okay, I've got a great team here, we're gonna get the work done? Just any answers? I can't actually see the chat because I'm presenting, but if anyone could help me out, just turning their mic on and letting me know.
Please, if you'd like to respond to that, just unmute your mic and you can respond to Anne's question, please.
Key ingredients.
Anne, can you come again? Can you come again?
Can I come again?
Yes, please, with a question.
So what are the key ingredients? What are the key factors for a good team? Like, so example, like I'm a technical expert in this area, or I'm on time, or what are the key ingredients for a great team?
One of the key ingredients is trust.
Trust.
You need to trust one another. Yes.
Great, thank you. Trust. I'm not sure who said it, so apologies if I don't say your name, but trust, thank you.
My name is Joseph Tanzi from Kefi, Nigeria.
Hi,
yeah, I'm fine, ma. The key ingredients is motivation.
Motivation.
The team needs to be motivated. Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. Yeah, trust, motivation. I'll take one more if anyone's got another one.
Yeah, hello?
Jonathan,
yes,
hi.
please go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, Jonathan, Jonathan from Nigeria. I think the key ingredient in the team is the unity, that is the togetherness.
Unity, yeah, and great answers. Interestingly enough, Google.
Hello?
Hi, Shatima, is it?
Yeah, one of the key ingredients, interest. Interest is one of it. My name is Stephen, calling from Abuja.
Stephen, thank you, Stephen. Yeah,
Stephen,
interest.
yeah, interest. Yes.
Isaac.
Yep.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, hi.
Yes.
My name is Florence Ajagbona from University of Abuja. Determination is the main thing.
Determination, excellent. Yeah, and I would agree with you. And so would Google. And that was all part of their hypothesis. That's what they said. Yeah, these are going to be the key ingredients for good teamwork. Now, they surveyed in 2012 over 180 teams for different factors that they looked at to see, okay, what actually makes a good team? And what they found was this: the number one, the key to great teamwork was something called psychological safety. And we're going to break that down a little bit more. And I'm going to link it to something else as well to discuss that. But the key ingredient they found was psychological safety, followed by dependability, team members getting things done on time. I can make sure that you're going to do that. You'll do that for me on time. Structure and clarity. Do I know what I'm supposed to be doing? Does my work have meaning? And finally, impact. Does my work actually matter? Now, this went against their hypothesis. The number one factor being psychological safety. Do I feel safe to take risks and be vulnerable in front of each other? And so why is that? Like, they were confused by that, and they wanted to understand a little bit more about, well, why could that be? So they decided to have a look at, and I'm sure many of you, apologies if this is a bit blurred, it's coming up on my screen a little bit blurred, but many of you I'm sure are familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And now Maslow's hierarchy of needs discusses, for those of you who are not, the importance of our physiological needs being met before we can really move on to anything else. So that's water, food, shelter, clothing, sleep. Once we have those met, well, the next thing we're looking for is safety and security. So employment, family. If we have all those parts met, then we can transgress up into love and belonging, friendship and intimacy. If all of those factors are in place, I can move into self-esteem, confidence, achievement. And then finally, if those 4 factors are all in place, I can move through into self-actualization. Now, interestingly enough, where is the link that we see here? Well, actually, if I turn the triangle upside down, Maslow's hierarchy of needs actually supports Google's findings, because number 1, psychological safety links very strongly with my physiological needs being met. Because if I feel psychologically safe at work, I know that I can meet those needs. I know that I can have food, shelter, water. Dependability links very strongly with safety and security. Can I get things done? Am I going to be secure in this area? Structure and clarity linking to love and belonging. Team members have clear roles, plans and goals, and that sense of belonging. Do I have that sense of belonging? Do I know where I fit in? Meaning, is my work important? Obviously links to self-esteem. Is my work important? That gives me a sense of self-esteem. And then finally, impact, self-actualization. So does my work make a difference? Am I doing something that actually supports maybe my sense of purpose? So this idea of psychological safety, what does that have to do with us? What does that have to do with management? What does that have to do with emotional intelligence? So let's have a look at why is this psychological safety so important, and how is it linked to emotional intelligence? So here's what we're going to cover today. I'm going to look at the fundamental components of emotional intelligence and a little bit about the brain, very small. I'm going to look how we're going to cultivate emotional intelligence within us. And then I'm going to link emotional intelligence with successful leadership. But on the premise of emotional intelligence is a key factor for good leadership. It's a key factor for good teamwork, and teamwork is a key factor for business success. Good teams, good business, high success. So a caveat to all of this, and I know we're all academics, or mostly academics in the room, and sometimes we kind of tend to think, or if you're anything like me, first off, I'm not a brain scientist, so I'm going to give you a very brief overview of the brain. But if anyone wants to jump in and take the leads on this, you absolutely can. But why are we looking at the brain? Well, the thing is, we tend to think of ourselves as always being in control. And for the most part, we are. But if we look at the brain is essentially and very basically divided into 3 key areas. The first that I'm going to talk about is what we call the reptilian brain. So this is the part of our brain that will kick in, it regulates my breathing. So I can't just hold my breath. My reptilian brain will come in and make me breathe. It will regulate my heart rate or my temperature. So the reptilian brain actually is in control of the functions of my body. I'm going to talk about the neocortex next. I'm sure that everyone's is very well developed here. So this is the part of our brain that is our rational or our thinking brain. So this is where we're thinking about our logical decisions that we make, our analytical brain, even the parts of our brain that's humorous. But here's the important one for the purpose of this paper today, the limbic brain, or the emotional or the feeling brain. Now, this is the part of our brain that is essentially responsible for the areas of our lives where we feel things, or we're frightened, or we're fleeing, or sexual reproduction. This limbic brain is the one that kicks in. And when I say kicks in, I really do mean kicks in, because sometimes it can kick in and push out the rational or thinking neocortex brain. And here's where our problem is. So imagine I'm walking through the garden and I see something in the grass. It's actually just a hose pipe, but I jump because I think it's a snake. That's my limbic brain kicking in really fast, because before my neocortex kind of kicked in and said, oh, actually, no, that is just a hose pipe, the limbic brain was frightened and called me into action. It's the part of the brain where you might hear a loud noise and you jump. That's your limbic brain. Now, that's great because it keeps us safe. And that's really an important part of our brain, and we are feeling beings. However, the problem with this limbic brain is sometimes it can be a little bit naughty, and sometimes it kicks in and perhaps pushes us to react or respond in a way that we wouldn't do if we were thinking a little bit more logically. And I'm going to continue with my Aristotle theme here, going back to the Google study. Anyone can become angry, that's easy. But to be angry with the right person, to the right degree, at the right time, for the right purpose, and in the right way, that's not easy. And I just want you to reflect for a second, just a second. And I know for myself, definitely I've had this happen. Have you ever had a reaction to something, and then on hindsight, you think to yourself, actually, I really overreacted there. I really should not have been that angry or that upset with this person. And that could be, look, here's the deal. This could be in business, but it also could be in your personal life. And if anyone wants to share, please feel free to do so. I can probably share a couple of my own, if not. But if you want to share any situations, especially in the workplace, it could be that you've asked somebody to do the same thing over and over again, and they just haven't done it. And it's kind of made you so frustrated, you've got angry. And maybe a little bit more angry than you would have done normally. Anyone ever had an experience like that in a leadership role, or want to maybe discuss the impact that might have had on the other person?
Yes,
Any participants?
Hi there.
Okay,
yeah,
please
I
go
do.
ahead. I'll make it brief. Briefly, please.
Okay,
Well,
Dr. H. We from Calabar, we went for a field work to pay some persons in the community. And then the youth leader said we must pay everybody. At that instance, the team I led to that community, all of them were scared. But just like you mentioned, my limbic brain came to function. Now, what I told them that, since I'm the project accountant, that when you should give me all the names of those people he wants us to pay. As we are coming back, we are going to pay everybody. That was the escape route that we had, I and my team, to leave that community. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, and sometimes it just kicks in, and I've had it. I've experienced it. You know, sometimes in my earlier days when I was more in the classroom and a student comes late, and irrationally I suddenly feel very angry, like you're disrespecting me. And the worst thing I can do ever to a student is tell them off, because A, is they're an adult and they choose to come to university, but B, is it just creates some kind of a barrier between us. And that was my limbic brain just kicking in, suddenly feeling an emotion that perhaps that person didn't even really deserve. So what we really need to start thinking and looking at is actually, how can we be more in control of our limbic brain when it's appropriate? Because sometimes it can kick in a little bit inappropriately. And we're going to look a little bit more at that in more detail. But I just want to focus on this idea of emotions. And here's a very kind of maybe simplified, oversimplified version of a lot of the emotions that we can feel. And if I look at this, the central circle are the headings or the categories for the 7 main types of emotion that we can feel. So happy, surprised, then bad, fearful, angry, disgusted, sad. And why is this important? If I look at this, and I don't know how you guys feel, and please feel free to jump in and say something, but for me, 5 out of those 7 emotions are more towards the negative spectrum of emotion, right? And so when I'm feeling happy and surprised, chances are I'm probably not going to do any damage to my team. If I'm happy with my team, they're going to be happy. But if I'm feeling sad or disgusted or angry or fearful or bad myself, there is a possibility that I could act in a way that actually may harm my team. And a team that are in harm, or a team that I have harmed, may not be the highest performing team, because they're going to be a bit fearful of me if I'm their leader, because essentially there's a power discrepancy there. So within all of this, the idea really, just to discuss it more and link it to emotions, and this idea of emotional intelligence, which we'll sort of really delve down into, is this. We are human beings, we're not computers. And as such, we act in a human way. And as human beings, we're often driven by emotion. And that's fine when our emotions are positive. But as leaders, when our emotions are not as positive as we might want them to be, our job, especially in this uncertain world that Paul was talking about earlier, is to actually not act on those emotions for the sake of our team. So here's kind of, as we're all academics, the official definition of emotional intelligence. So the most effective leaders are all alike in one way. They all have a high degree of what's come to be known as emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is really that idea that we are not only aware of our emotions, but we can manage and control our emotions and the emotions of others. And it was first coined really by Daniel Goleman in 1908, as you can see on the screen. So what I like to think of is this: as leaders and managers, our job in today's world is to understand our team, to manage them, but then to influence them. And the reason I choose the word influence is because I don't want to tell my team what to do. I want to influence them. I want them to think, and not to trick them, but I want them to sort of make those decisions themselves. Because if somebody feels autonomous and are feeling like they can do something themselves, they're far more likely to do it to the best of their ability. And I love this word, and anyone can jump in and tell me. It fits so perfectly, but anyone tell me what UMI might mean in various languages that UMI has a meaning. Anyone want to jump in and tell me, what does UMI mean?
Yes, participants, anyone, you can just unmute and make your comments.
It's got various meanings in different languages, and they're all beautiful.
I'm sure Umi means something in any of the Nigerian languages. Umi, UMI.
Anyone? I'll tell you if not. I mean, this is not necessarily, it's not from my language, but it's from a way more beautiful language. In Arabic, it means one thing. In Japanese, it means another thing. So it means mother, which as leaders, the word mother is such a beautiful term. And as leaders, I'm sure at times we've all felt like, mother or father to our team, right? And what is the role of a parent? And that's kind of like being a leader. It also means ocean. So as a leader, sometimes we have to be like that ocean, all expansive. So in terms of us as leaders, it's really interesting because, you can read all the leadership books in the world about management and leadership, and this is how you do it, and this is the theory behind it. But until you get in it, until you suddenly understand that you've got to be almost bigger and more self-controlled than your team to be effective. And no one really teaches us that. I always say to my students, they used to study business management, and I say to them, until you lead a team, the complexities of the human being they're vast. And as leaders, you have to, for want of a better word, you have to be the bigger and the better person all the time. And it has to be consistent. consistent. And when I say the word consistent, we go back again, and we're going to weave that back into this idea of psychological safety. And what does that mean to create an environment where your team feels psychologically safe? So actually, before we do this, just by, I don't know, I don't know if you can put hands up in Zoom like you can on Teams, or you can put it in the chat. Where would you rate yourself out of 10 for, if you're familiar with the term emotional intelligence? Just so we can have a bit of a read of the room. Where does everyone sit on the emotional intelligence scale?
Participants, you can drop your response on the chat box, please. We'll communicate that to Anne.
I'm seeing if I can see. I don't think I can see the chat at the moment, unless I stop sharing, which I could do. Is there anything in the chat?
Not at the moment.
Where would you guys rate yourself, or call out on the mics?
Okay, or you could unmute and make a comment, participants, please.
Yeah, somebody drop a comment, say 6/10.
6,
okay.
6/10. Pretty good.
6/10. Aduku Glory is 6/10. Joseph Tanze is 8/10.
8 out of 10. Okay, great.
Yes, Adejola Sai from Bingham University, 5/10.
5/10.
Excellent. 7/10.
Nice.
Yes, and then we have Lydia, 8/10. Comfort Lawal, 7/10. Dr. Mohammed Bello from Kano, 7/20. Oh, Dr. Mohammed is 7/10, not 7/20. Gladys David, 8/10. Favor Afolayan from Bingham University, one of my students, 8/10. Nice. Good. Tekura Demdo, 8/10. Esther Inyang, 7/10. Oyeni Yabola, 7/10. Also a PhD student in Bingham. Nice. Ogunkoya Margaret, 7/10 from Lagos State University.
I'm liking their finance people. You guys are all fairly emotionally intelligent. This is good news for us. We need some emotionally intelligent finance people, for sure.
All right, and maybe just one more piece, 7/10. Obolaye Samuel, 7/10.
Excellent, fantastic. Well, this is great news for us as a team of people, because
just one more, if you don't mind. From Ghana,
yes,
Dr. Fablo from Ghana says 6/10.
6/10. Okay, we're all past the halfway mark, so we're all passing. If we're looking you're all in the sort of the 2-1 first categories, I think, which is pretty good. Yes. So also important, even if you are scoring high on EQ, you might come across members of your team who perhaps don't, or you might want to get better. And so let's break down what actually is EQ, or what are the components that make up someone who is high in EQ? So the first and probably the most important is self-awareness. Really important to be aware of myself. And when I say self-aware, I don't just mean self-aware with the ability to reflect. Like, it's not about, oh, actually, I shouldn't have done that. I mean, I think I overreacted there. It's aware in the moment. And I think it's often easier to discuss this. And I used to talk to students about this. I always say it's much easier to discuss things if we talk about relationships. So you know that time, it could be relationships with siblings or relationships with your significant other. But when I talk about being self-aware, if you just sort of take a moment to reflect, has there been a time when perhaps somebody says something and immediately you feel angry? Definitely. Siblings can do this to me. Sometimes parents can do it to you. Sometimes children can do it to you. And sometimes your significant other can do it to you. And it's just out of the blue. And you think, oh, I knew you did that on purpose to get me. And you just flip like that. Being self-aware is having enough control over your limbic part of your brain to say, actually, stop, hold on. Don't flare up. Don't get mad. Don't just think about this. Why am I reacting like this? And it takes practice, but there are some things that you can do to kind of take or regain control of it. This is not easy, by the way, absolutely not easy, but asking questions to yourself in that exact moment. For example, if you were a life coach, what are you feeling exactly? And why am I feeling this? Like, what's triggering me here? Just taking that half a second to pause. I always tell my team members, never respond immediately to an angry email. Always pause, write the email that you wanted to send, and then put it in your drafts. Don't send it. Just take a pause, because it's never good to react. As leaders, we want to respond. So number one is self-awareness. Now, if I'm aware of what I'm feeling and why I'm feeling like this, here's the important part. I can manage myself. Now, if I think about business, and we often make analogies to business like a sports team, the key goal of a football team is to score the goal. No matter what happens, you want to score the goal, right? And it doesn't matter if you really can't stand your striker, you're still going to pass to him or her. It doesn't matter what you think of your goalkeeper, you're still going to try and protect him or her. And so being self-aware is being able to manage my responses to ensure the maximum goal. So if I think about it, I can be really angry with a team member, and I can get angry with that team member, and I can, I could even shout maybe at that team member. But if I do that, how will that team member feel? Or indeed, if someone did it to me, how would I feel? Would I feel safe? Would they feel upset? Would they feel alienated? And would they feel fearful? And probably and possibly yes. Now, when I take it back to that idea of psychological safety, the one way that I can make sure that my team do not feel safe is if I start reacting in an angry way with them. Now, that doesn't mean to say I can't get angry, and that doesn't mean to say that I can't be strong and clear with my team, but it's the volatile nature of being out of control of your limbic brain that is the problem. And that's when we hit the high EQ. The high EQ is me saying to myself, I'm in control, I know exactly what I want to do, and I'm going to respond and not react in the most effective way for that person to get that goal. Now, once I've got a handle on that, what I then need to do is think about the other person or the other group of people. What do they need from me as a leader? And this is where it becomes really, really challenging for a leader, because it's not what I want, it's what my team need. It's not they need to come into my comfort zone, it's I need to go into theirs and look at each of them, or them as a team if I'm looking at groups of people, and think to myself, how can I get the best out of this person? And that's not the same for every person. So this is about being socially aware of others. How can I engineer those relationships with people and understand them enough that I can react to them in an appropriate way? Because it is true, some people do perform well with a little bit of anger. They do, that's just the fact. And some people, myself included, do not. We shy away from it. And I think we would all know where we sit on that scale. And if we've ever had a boss who does the opposite of what makes us feel safe, psychological safety, I bet we're all looking for a new job very quickly. As soon as my boss is reacting to me in a way that does not make me feel safe, that's when I'm on LinkedIn looking at my next job. And I'll tell you that as a really true instance in my life. I just left my job as Dean of London College of Contemporary Arts because that exact thing happened to me. And I moved into a new position, which I'm very happy with a beautiful boss, as Dean of Victoria College of Arts and Design. But it was a risk move. Everyone was saying, why are you doing it? Even my new job was saying, why are you doing it? And the reason is because my manager shouted at me in a very unjust way. And it really did make me feel, first off, it was not true. And second off, I was like, I can't work with this. Now we come to it. So it really does happen. And if anyone wants to share any times it's happened in their life, please feel free to get it off your chest if you'd like to, or share something with us.
All right, let me share one experience, how we react to things that provoke us. It's good in that part of the world in UK because the job opportunities are there and you have what it takes to get another job. But in our own part of the world, in Africa, where the employment opportunities are limited, when our bosses shout on us, we'll even be begging, pleading. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, sir. I think I had an experience. I had one experience a couple of years. I was the one that was right. And I tried to explain to my boss. And as I was trying to explain, he was so furious, was so angry. And he said, you are very stupid. It was raining insult, not even yelling now. It was raining insult on me. You are very stupid. Am I your mate? I was just telling him, I'm sorry, sir. Kaya Kudi in Hausa language. I'm sorry, sir. And somebody else was telling him, sir, Dr. Adebayo is the one that is correct in this matter. So we in this part of the world, we, no matter the yelling, no matter the insults, maybe for respect, we still beg even when we are right.
Yeah, it's really hard. And I suppose that's why us in this room, at least we can make the decision to be responsible leaders. And I kind of believe that it just takes one seed to spread, to make a forest. And so if we do that, the knock-on impact for people around us, I do believe will be amazing. And so, and again, I thank you. That's why I thank everyone for coming here and listening today, because it's such an important topic, because we are human beings in a very troubled world right now. Although I might argue, when has the world not been troubled? But, you know, to start being better at work, I think is so important. Does anyone else want to say anything on that? If they've ever had an experience or...
If I may, Anne, I would love, sorry, if I may, I would love a current student at whatever level. We have several of them on the platform, either an undergraduate student or a postgraduate student, to share your experience as it relates to dealing with your lecturers right in the US. Please, if anyone can. In the meantime, I see Oniha was making a comment. But please, students who are on the platform, you can kindly make your comment as well. Please go ahead, Oniha.
Good afternoon or good morning. I just want to say that to buttress our speaker, this morning, my son called me from all the way from Canada, and he told me he was leaving his current job. And I asked him why. He said, Daddy, can you imagine? I went to work yesterday, and it was even during my break time, I decided to rest within the office corridor, and I put my head down. And my manager came and rebuked me and said, get out from this place. So he was now asking the manager, where do you want me to go and stay? Where do you want me to go and stay? It's very cold outside there. So that alone put him off from the job. And he said, look, I've gotten a better job, a better offer. And when he told the manager, look, I'm leaving, the manager said, why are you leaving? Please don't go. But the guy said, no, for this singular act, I am leaving this company. So just to buttress your point, Annie Healy. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Oniha. I see one of our undergraduate students, I know her to be a foreign level student from Bingham University, is raising her hand. Sharon, can you unmute and quickly share your experience? Sharon Galadima.
All right.
Go ahead. Yes, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If I'm to get to share my experience with lecturers.
Yes, go ahead, Sharon. Go ahead.
Sir?
Yes, go ahead, Sharon. I see you raised your hand.
The network is a bit bad, so I can't really
just share your experience
I'm not
based
sure
on the
if
question.
You can hear me either.
Sharon, we can hear you loud and clear. Share your experience based on the question that was raised by our presenter.
Good evening, sir.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay, I think we'll come back to it. Okay, go ahead, Sharon. Go ahead. All right. We might take Sharon much later. Let's return back to Anne, please.
Okay, I think we've lost Sharon.
Yes,
I think we'll come back. Okay, so really to sort of thank you for sharing some of those situations. And really, once we can become as leaders aware of our team, the idea really is how do we influence them? So how do we interact with them and build trust as a leader? How do we foster the buy-in? And honestly, a lot of the time, it's about just understanding and listening the particulars of the team member. Constant emotional behavior is critical to this. So when I talk about psychological safety, going back to the beginning, don't leave your team guessing how you're going to react. So be consistent. And in fact, almost being a bad leader consistently is almost better than sometimes being really nice and sometimes being terrible because we're in a bad mood, because at least people know what to expect. Sometimes it's harder when you're dealing with the unknown and then you're worried, like, am I going to have a good day or a bad day? So part of forming psychologically safe places to work is consistency in leadership as well. And so those 4 key things really are the foundations of good leadership, and it will allow us to handle stress better, to communicate more effectively with our teams, and actually to inspire our team. We always can remember good leaders or people in our lives who've really inspired us. And those are the people that show they're great at communication, that they listen, and they're empathetic. And the impact on that is really important, because if my staff are happy, if my team are happy, they're not looking to leave. And when people leave, it costs the company. If I take it back down to the finances for the finance team, definitely it costs us money. But staff satisfaction is so important because people who are happy actually work better. So if I look at this, the role of emotional intelligence in management, it can help with my decision making, because that means I am responding and not reacting. I'm allowing the part of my brain that makes logical decisions to kick in, and it can make sure that I'm actually more inclusive with my team because I'm more socially aware of my team. Really important. Also, it allows me to manage conflict. Nobody wants conflict at work. It does happen because we spend so much of our lives at work. But how do I navigate through conflict within my team even? Listening often is key. Listening and not reacting. So making those informed decisions, all in all, to create a really positive work environment. So how do I develop this? Or what are some key tenets that I can also say to develop emotional intelligence in myself and indeed in others? These are some of the factors that I could encourage within my team. I could encourage self-reflection, being mindful. And again, this all kind of seems like, it's kind of a bit new agey at times, like, but we are human beings. And like I said right at the beginning, because the boundaries between work and life are so blurred now, we spend a lot more of our time in work. And so the importance of nurturing the human being cannot be overlooked. We could provide, as we're doing now, some EQ training and some workshops, but also be open with your teams, communicate, listen, give that positive feedback, and take, importantly, feedback from your team. Don't make them feel like they can't give you feedback in the same way that you can give them. I often ask my team, and I don't get it perfect all the time, by the way, but I often do try to say to my team, look, honestly, I promise you, like, tell me what I can do differently, or tell me what I can change, because I think that's important. And, you know, I'd be silly to think I've got everything perfect because I'm learning every single day. What are the challenges around this? And there are some. Be willing to change. Change is really difficult, but guess what? We're not a tree, we can move. Managing emotions is also very, very difficult. And I'm not just dealing with my emotions, I'm dealing with the emotions of the team. Building strong relationships does take time. It's not going to be a change overnight. A change to culture takes time. So you have to take time out of your very often busy day just to step away and build those relationships with your team and be open to feedback, which again, that's hard. It can be sometimes a little bit challenging to hear that negative feedback, but, you know, take it on the chin. So I want to sort of conclude by showing you the money and just thinking about some of the big businesses that have seen positive success in terms of money for the finance team where they've had leaders with high EQ. So we've got Microsoft, first of all. Market value grew by over £750 billion. And that was driven by that culture, empathy, psychologically safe culture, promotes innovation for sure, because innovation, we need to be able to be free to make mistakes in a psychologically safe environment. The only way to innovate is sometimes to do it wrong. Starbucks, 60 billion by focusing on employee well-being. Again, that is high EQ leaders. Pepsi, 15 billion. These are big numbers for the finance team. Obviously, Richard Branson on Virgin, 3.7 billion, high EQ leader. And then finally in Facebook, Sandberg played a key role in increasing the revenue growth by 375 billion. And it's not just the leaders with high EQ that increase productivity and therefore the money for an organization. L'Oreal looked at their sales agents, and they were selected if they were high in EQ competencies. And what they found was that agents who were high in EQ sold on average $91,000 more than salespeople who were low in EQ. And you can see the figures there for yourself. The annual net revenue increased by over 2 million, 2.5 million. So leaders high EQ, absolutely, but also your staff, your teams with high EQ. I think we're more or less on time, coming to the end, and I just want to leave you with this quote by one of my favorite authors before I open the floor to any questions or any comments. Maya Angelou, and I think this is so important in the workplace. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. So I'm going to throw the floor back over to you guys.
Thank you so very much. All right, thank you so very much. Please, can we unmute and just give Anne a round of applause?
That's great.
Thank you so very much. Always a delight to listen to Anne. All right, now this is what we're going to do. Very quickly, there's going to be room.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Please, there's going to be room for questions right now. But just before then, please, I'd like to remind us of two things. One, at the end of the second presentation, I like the tone in which Anne took towards the end of the presentation. I saw some huge figures in dollars. ACCSA Global is unveiling something that can make everyone, whether as a member or non-member, to earn in dollars. I'm going to unravel that news for us. Yes, and I mean it. And those who know ACCSA Global knows that ACCSA Global does what it says, and says what it intends to do. So just stay tuned. Now, secondly, this is a personal information. Very quickly, please, I'd like all students of Bingham University. I'm finding it difficult to quickly recognize your names, and I know the conversation we've had before now. Please, if you could just drop your name and your program on the chat box. For example, a 100-level student, just write your name and write 100-level brackets. A PGD student, just write your name and write postgraduate diploma or PGD, MSc, PhD. Please, I'd like us to do that so we can keep strictly to the conversation we have had before now. All right, at this point, please, I'd like, but you can do this only towards the end of the second presentation, actually. Please, those who are dropping comments like I've mentioned. So we're going to take it in two folds. We'll take maybe 3 persons to quickly unmute and ask their questions. In the meantime, if you have any other question, please put it in the chat box. At some point, I will try to read it to Anne. So quickly, can I see your hand? If you want to unmute and ask a question, please, you have to raise your hand digitally. So let's do that very quickly so we can take the questions together. I haven't seen any hand on the chat box. Okay, I've seen a hand. Anne Ene Adiko. Please, Anne Ene Adiko, can you please unmute and just keep your question very short? Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Lambe. My name is Anne, and thank you very much for the presentation. It's been really interesting. So my question is, how do you deal with, I don't want to say the boss is emotionally or has low emotional intelligence, but I want to say maybe he has problem with communication skills. So you are left to guess everything. You're left to guess his actions. You're left to guess how he reacts to things. You're left to guess, did I offend him in a way? Why is he behaving like this? How do you deal with that kind of person?
Well, Anne, I think that's a great question.
And if you could just take more questions and then you address them together.
Okay,
all right.
Great.
So I can see another hand. Adebayo, Miss Samuel, I see your hand is up. Please quickly unmute and ask the question.
Okay, Dr. Lambert, thank you very much. Thank you to our presenter. My question is this: how can I handle transfer of aggression from my boss? How can I handle transfer of aggression from my boss? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Sorry,
okay, we will allow Anne address this.
Sorry, Dr. Lambert. Are you taking up the question?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, please, Bingham University students, please don't fill the chat box now with the details I requested for. Please, that will come towards the end. At this
Dr. Lambert, we can't hear you.
Dr. Lambert, we can't hear you.
All right. Okay, I will repeat very quickly. All Bingham University students who are sending their details in the chat box, please hold on. Towards the end of the second presentation, we can do that. But in the meantime, what we want to see in the chat box are questions for Anne. So I'll quickly hand over to Anne to at least address the first two questions that have been asked.
And I think these are really important questions because, we're talking about ourselves as leaders and managers, but what about if it's our boss? A low EQ boss is really very challenging. And that's when, and I definitely don't have all the answers on this, so please, anyone feel free to also jump in. But for me, that's when it's like we have to manage up. I think within that, talking to colleagues and others as a team definitely will help, because sometimes it's important to share what we're going through with others. Then I would add on to that, I guess, trying to create a structure where you can have clear boundaries and set objectives. You are allowed, obviously, to go to your boss and say, can I set objectives for the next 6 months or the next 3 months or the next year, which can help. But it is very challenging if you do have a boss. I think requesting meetings can help, but it's not a perfect solution. And I suppose for me, I try to understand, and again, I don't get this correct at all, perhaps to put myself in their shoes and think, okay, what would work to navigate through this relationship with my boss? Because if, to the gentleman's point who mentioned about anger, when your boss is angry, how can I diffuse that situation? How do we diffuse anger? And that's going to come with challenges. I think being, again, if you as consistent. Don't know.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. I think as well as from yourself, from your own side, being consistent and ensuring that consistent behavior and remaining calm is really difficult, because again, like I said, our emotions are going to kick in. We are emotional beings. But that is a very challenging situation. And I'm sorry to hear of anyone who is in that situation with an angry boss or a difficult boss. But I do think in those situations, and I don't know exactly what the organization is, or the terms of that are, but ultimately, if it does go too far, you do have to seek some help or guidance from HR in those situations. And that's what HR is there for, because they want a smooth and supportive work life. But I also do appreciate within that comes challenges, because you don't want to upset your boss, because your boss is in a position of power. So it can be very challenging. I don't know if anyone wants to come in on that and say something, because I definitely don't have all the answers on that one.
All right. This is what we'll do. I've seen two hands. I'm going to request Mrs. Abere to ask a question shortly. But just before then, and we have two questions in the chat box. Mr. Oniha Christopher says, how do you manage conflicts and issues that relates to cultural differences? Cultural differences.
Yeah.
That's a key word.
That's
now,
a
I
great
also
question.
see that, all right. Another question is, in every situation or working environment, okay, I think this one is providing a response. Somebody's saying the SWOT analysis is a key practical way to go. Let me just take one more question. How can one deal with emotionally unstable bosses? Okay, I think it speaks to every other thing.
Coming up a
So,
lot.
all right. So before
Okay.
you answer that, let me take the comment from Mrs. Ebere. Mrs. Ebere, please, you can unmute and either respond or ask your own question.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Lambe. And thank you, Anne. I really want to appreciate your lecture because some uncommon grounds in our workplace makes things so challenging. And I'm glad I am part of this lecture today because some things are not actually being said, but they exist. And I must comment from the beginning, Professor Paul said something about cultural differences in workplaces. You are in UK, and for us back home in Africa, in Nigeria, it's totally a different thing altogether. And for some of us or some people, if you have a boss like that, I think sometimes you need to, while you are learning, many of them are coming up with this kind of lectures. You are more exposed. Maybe he doesn't even know what they're talking about. Emotional intelligence, he doesn't care, he doesn't know about it. And so I would say, give some space when your boss is angry. Give space. Give some space, a little bit. Don't take it to heart to say, oh, my boss is angry, and two of you be boiling at the same time. And so when you give a space, before you know it, when you come back again, you see that he has calmed down and you will be able to explain yourself calmly without even raising an eyebrow. And so what am I saying? That the differences in our cultural workplace is so different that you must find a subtle way to handle the relationship in the office. Because here we actually literally worship our bosses, carry their bags. My boss is coming, my busy, I'll go and carry her bags, I'll respect her, I'll do all kind of things. And most times she kind of tells me that, oh, I bet your EQ is so high. Because even when we do something, I'll ask her, oh, how do you feel today? What did you, oh, sometimes it makes her feel good. Even when others are feeling that she's so arrogant, she'll do this, she'll do that. But you have to find a subtle way to attend to that. So I think the work environment for everywhere is different. And you must find the key for your own. Thank you.
That's great advice.
Thank you very much.
So much.
I'll allow Anne to react to that. But Prof, please Professor Paul, please let me just crave your indulgence. We're going to take a little bit of time because I can see there are torrents of questions. So please, if you don't mind, let me call on Emmanuel Guche. The hand has been up. He will ask his question, then we'll allow Anne to react to everything jointly. So please, Mr. Emmanuel, if you can just unmute in a minute, please make your question very brief or comment, and then we allow Anne to react. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Lambe, and thank you, Anne, for the good presentation. The first one is a comment. When the first one, when you are showing us the successful businesses that adopt emotional intelligence, I was expecting you to put Dangote of Nigeria, which is the richest man in Africa. I didn't see him there. No, that is on a lighter note. So this question is a scenario-based question. For instance, an organization recruited a management position, and there is an internal candidate who has been working with the organization for quite a long time, and to him or her, he didn't feel that likely may have that position, but quite unfortunate, an external candidate got that position. And in the course of discharging his duty, the internal the existing staff was pretty not cooperating with him, and likewise tried to frustrate his effort. Regardless of that situation, with emotional intelligence, if the manager tried to adopt emotional intelligence, tried to manage such staff, but rather he couldn't have his way, because oftentimes such a staff will just deem it fit that he was trying to frustrate the leader. Would it be nice to adopt the principle of Donald Trump, which is just sack the existing cabinet and establish your own new cabinet? Thank you, Anova.
Oh my God.
All right, Anne, you have the floor now.
All right, thank you. Listen, I'd like to say, yeah, I think your comments are really good about, the differences in culture and responding to that and thinking, okay, but actually this is how we do it in Nigeria, and a really key thing is just to move back and give some space. I think that's brilliant. And I think, yeah, absolutely, it's different in every single work environment. I think, and to the question on cultural differences, I mean, I work with my team from 3 or 4 different cultures: Asia, Africa, and sort of the wider European continent, over and above the UK. And there is a lot of understanding that goes on there. So I think withholding, for me, it's about withholding judgment, trying to think through, okay, like everyone's different, and actually we're cultural beings. So what is appropriate for one person is definitely not appropriate for others. I think when cultural differences cause conflict within a team, that's when we have to sort of think about how we navigate through that, and how we discuss our differences and actually applaud our differences, because that's what makes the beautiful teams. That's why teams are so great, because we are so different. But when it does flip over into conflict, I think that's when, as a leader, you sort of have to step in and try to hear. At the end of the day, I feel like people just want to be heard, and nobody wants to be made wrong. So for me, if I'm hearing someone and saying to them, I completely see it from your perspective, and I definitely hear you on that, and to the other person too, now how do we as a team navigate to make a conclusion to this where you both feel heard, and actually there's no right or wrong, and you're both right. And it's the same in a relationship. And if I think about it, I always take it back to, those relationships that we have with people. For the most part, there's not a right and a wrong person. I think there's people with different perspectives, and there's people who do things differently, and there's people who respond differently. And I think as leaders,
guys, reach. Look at what I'm doing.
All right. Thank you so very much. Please go ahead.
All right.
Your concluding thoughts. Yes. All right. Thank you very much. I think this is a good place to anchor it there for Anne. So, distinguished participants, can you please give Anne one more time a big round of applause?
Thank
for
you,
that
guys.
very, very
Thank
deep
you very much.
and insightful. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much.
Thanks,
so,
thank you.
Very quickly, yes. So we don't keep us too long, though we're still within the our timing threshold. We'd like to go straight to the second paper. But please, I want all participants, particularly my students in Bingham University, you can earn in dollar as close as April. I'm preempting you now. I'm going to unveil something from ACCSA that can give everyone right on this platform equal chance to earn in dollars. Please stay tuned. I'm waiting for it. We want to bring on for the second paper, and please don't forget the information I request on the chat box for Bingham students. Please, it is towards the end of this paper you will drop those information. So to take the second paper, which is precisely on financial management in uncertain times, strategies for resilience and stability, is no other person than our very, very erudite prof, all the way from Baton Rouge, United States, Professor Paul Adejola. Please, a round of applause for Prof as he takes over. Prof, sir, please, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Lambert, and to Anne, thank you for that wonderful presentation. I'm going to do 2 in 1 as fast as possible. I'm going to share my slide, because theory is the basis for practice. If you remember very well, to our members and to other non-members, if you check the goal of ACCSA Global, our main goal is bridging the digital divide in the teaching and practice of accounting and other related disciplines. So when I say 2 in 1 now, I will set the pace by looking at the theory part of this presentation. Then we'll put our fingers to look at the technology relevant in financial management in uncertain times. I'll be as fast as possible. We are going to have this slide and the other material, that's the video recording, on the website of ACCSA Global, so that attendees can download as the need arises. Financial management in uncertain times, strategies for resilience and stability. Opening verses, you can see that a strong financial foundation is built in times of stability so that it can withstand the storms of uncertainty. I put in another way, a wise man prepares for 4 things when he has 4 things. When you have riches, prepare for poverty. When you have youth, prepare for old age. When you have life, prepare for death. And when you have sickness, or when you have health, prepare for sickness. That's all about a provision. Some of us now are privileged to be handling some money. This is not the time to be wasteful. Every dime you save matters for tomorrow. Economists will tell us we hold money for speculative motive, precautionary motive, and transactionary motive. Number 2, in the midst of every crisis lies great opportunity. So there are a lot of opportunities in distresses. I've studied the life of over 100 billionaires we have currently. And one thing they all have in common was that they invested during period of crisis. Number 3, it is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. And we advise people here, change as time change and adapt yourself to the environment. We say the only thing constant in life is change. And the last one here, the only way to navigate financial uncertainty is to focus on what you can control, your habits, decisions, and mindset. Money, for example, in the hand of a drunkard is beer or whiskey money. So you have to change the mindset that this money is not going to be there forever. Look at this screen. What you can see on the screen, I shared this a while ago. This is on my LinkedIn page. I received this yesterday, or is it 2 days ago? And I mentioned this earlier. Just last Thursday, at least 6,000 people roughly sacked by the IRS. So see the uncertainty. That's in the United States here. So the uncertainty continue. Some of us who are considering, let me jump to US, let me jump to Europe, let me jump to Australia, let me jump to Antarctica. It's not all about Japa. I have told people over and over what some of us run helter-skelter to go and get from abroad, or we are thinking that this thing comes from abroad. It really comes from above. So even here in the United States, there are challenges. See my agenda here. I can tell you in 15, 20 minutes, I'll be done. It's the practical I don't want us to miss. Why financial management matters in uncertain times. We have rising inflation and cost of living, market volatility and economic downturns, supply chain disruption affecting businesses, political instability and policy shifts, technological disruption, and we advise people. It's a good one you are joining this training, and some of you graduates of accounting or related discipline that you are here to make your mind joining ACCSA Global. I'm telling you, this is the right association for you when it comes to technology application in this era referred to as era of digital Darwinism. It's either you cause disruption or you are disrupted. Because once you cannot go and flow along with what is obtainable globally, you become irrelevant. Impact of uncertainty on personal organization finances, decreased income and job losses. That is the reality. I just cited an example, minimum 6,000 people laid off in IRS. Increased cost of borrowing and debt repayment challenges, cash flow constraint for businesses and individuals, decline in consumer confidence and spending power. The importance of resilience and stability. Number 1, helps individuals and businesses adapt to changing economic conditions. And this popular saying, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going, you don't give up. That's resilience. I say reduces financial stress and promotes better decision making. Ensures sustainability and long-term financial security. Let's go to the next slide. Understanding uncertainty. In financial management, they will tell you decisions are made under 3 different conditions or scenario. You have decision making under condition of risk, because similar thing has happened in the past, and you can assign probability for the likely reoccurrence of that in the future. Then we have decision making under condition of certainty. That one you are sure that something will happen. But wishes are not horses, beggars are not riding. We don't know what is going to happen tomorrow or even in business environment. The last one is decision making under condition of uncertainty. So what are the key causes of economic stability? When we say economic stability here, global pandemics because of our time, political instability, then we say supply chain disruption. I want to say global pandemics here, disruption in economic activities and productivity, increased government spending and rising public debt. The unemployment spikes due to business shutdown, shifts in consumer behavior and demand. Let me go to the next slide. Understanding uncertainty. Other reason, market volatility, fluctuation in stock market affecting investment. I was chatting recently with a woman who participated in one of our program online, and she told me she invested 14 million naira in a particular stock, and she lost everything. She lost everything. And ever since, she has been afraid to take another decision again to invest her hard-earned money. So rapid changes in interest rates, uncertainty in asset valuation leading to hesitant financial decision making. The effect of all this on financial management, it affects our cash flow. We have cash flow challenges, difficulty in maintaining stable revenue streams, delay payment from clients, customers, impacting liquidity. We have seen a couple of people who have gone into businesses, and because of these challenges, before you know it, they've shut down. Companies have liquidated as a result of the dynamics, changes in the market. Investment risks reduce investor confidence, leading to decreased capital inflows. Then declining asset values affecting retirement and saving plans. And we have another effect here, increased unpredictability. You cannot predict. Difficulty in forecasting future economic conditions. And I said, when it comes to taking decision about tomorrow, our finance student, I'm sure our professors, our lecturers will tell you we have what is called time value for money. When you talk about investment appraiser, we know we are not sure of tomorrow, but you need to make decision today on what kind of investment you're going to do in future. So you bring that tomorrow you are expecting today. That's why we talk of present value. The 1 million naira I'm expecting tomorrow that I'm not sure what is the equivalent of that 1 million today. That's present value. So I can make a decision. The next slide, principles of financial resilience. Here we are saying, how do I build financial resilience? So that when others are even saying everything is tough as we have it, that's the reality. The rich also crying. The rich also crying. It's happening. Liquidity, that's first one. The importance of emergency funds. What we are saying here is ensure quick access to cash in case of financial shocks. Don't eat with all your 10 fingers. No matter how meager your salaries are, try to save first before you go to do window shopping. Someone say, I'm only going for window shopping, and they put all their earnings, all their salaries in their pocket or in their card. By the time you go there, you end up buying things you don't even need. And we say recommend savings 3 to 6 months worth of expenses, recommended savings. Reduces reliance on high interest loans or credit during crisis. Then diversification. Reducing risk through varied income streams helps mitigate financial risk by spreading investment across multiple areas. And how do we build financial resilience? Adaptability. Prepare for what? Multiple scenarios. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. So develop a flexible financial plan that adjusts to changing conditions. That's what we call in financial management sensitivity analysis. What if scenario? What if this happened? What if that happened? So we prepare for the unexpected. Principles of financial resilience. What are the areas we are expected to focus? We have one, prioritizing critical needs. Some needs are necessities. Some are just one. And if the scripture say, God will address all our needs according to his riches in glory. That's if we are bringing spirituality into it. God will supply all my needs according to his riches in glory. God did not say, I will supply all your wants. So we need to rank our needs in order of priority. Distinguish between essential and non-essential expenses. Allocating resources to food. At least in some part of the world, I don't want to peculiarize these global challenges to our nation, Nigeria. It's not only Nigeria that is having these global challenges. Other parts of the world also have it. But we are saying allocating resources to food, basic necessities, food, housing, healthcare, and debt obligations first. Every other thing will follow. Avoiding unnecessary spending during financial uncertainty. Don't do big boys, big girls. Somebody put it this way, that should be my spiritual father. That some of you unlimited salary in order to show off, they will go and spend money on things that are not essential, and they will tag it Omo Jaye Jaye. Omo Jaye Jaye that's a Yoruba language. Omo Jaye Jaye means the person, a guy that is enjoying life. And the man of God said, it's not Omo Jaye Jaye, it's Omo Jia Jia. He's suffering, not Jaye Jaye. Balancing short-term and long-term goals. Now you should set your goals, put it down. There is a difference between short-term, use the finances you have, meet the short-term one, then the one for your long-term goals, plan it very well. Don't go and borrow short-term to finance long-term, because the law has empowered creditors to file for liquidation in the event of default. When you can't pay them. Maybe you've gone out to borrow money from bank and they say you are expected to pay back that money in 3 months, and you have committed the money you borrowed from the bank for a project wherein the returns will be coming maybe in 2 years. It's a big mistake, mismatch. So maintaining balance between immediate financial and future investment, ensure adequate retirement and savings contribution despite short-term economic challenges. Steps to strategic planning. Evaluate your financial position. That's step number 1. Number 2, identify essential versus non-essential expenses. 3, create flexible budget. 4, plan for contingencies. You make provision for the unexpected. That's what we are saying there. Tools for planning are almost there to take the practical. Financial forecasting. And in one of my presentation, I said, and I quote again, that mechanics have their working tools. Medical doctors have their working tools. Bricklayers have their own working tools. So accountants are not left behind. We also have our working tools. So when we talk of strategic financial planning, to stay afloat any liquidation or financial crisis, we have tools in our hand. And when we talk of this financial planning, financial management, I know we have some tools like that. We have the Microsoft Excel you can use, but I'm going to also draw our attention to cloud-based tools that we can use as well. Financial forecasting is among them, analyzing financial trends to anticipate future income and expenses. Then we have cost benefits analysis, evaluating the potential returns of financial decision before taking action. I'm just taking this so we can go and lay hands on the practical. Managing cash flow effectively. That is another. If I ask a question, our accounting student and even some accountants, graduate, if I ask us a question, there is a question here. There is a difference between liquidity and profitability. That's the question. Just listen. How do you explain a company who has reported profit after tax of 20 billion naira and the same company is finding it difficult to settle a debt of 5 million naira? And I now ask my question, there is a difference between profitability and liquidity. So what is the statement we prepare in accounting that explain the difference between liquidity and profitability? Anybody?
Yes, please, anyone can unmute quickly and answer Prof's question. And I expect 400 level accounting student being if you're online or MSc students should be able to answer this easily.
Yes.
Please, you can unmute and just answer. Okay, go ahead. Yes, please go ahead and speak.
I think the cash flow statement helps in showing the difference.
Who is speaking? Let us know you. Are
Okay,
you?
my name is Emmanuel Abba. I am a student of Bingham.
Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. I'm not disappointed. If you be a student of Dr. Lande, you should know that.
Prof, another person is raising his hand, Emmanuel Buche.
Okay, let him go ahead.
If you can just quickly unmute. Emmanuel, please unmute and speak to Prof.
Okay, thank you, sir, Dr. Lavi. As a rider to what my namesake said, Emmanuel, he was saying, I think, but me, I will put it clearly that it is the statement of financial cash flow. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
We are still the same, talking the same thing.
And that's the correct one. That is statement of cash flow statement. All right, key cash flow management tips. Optimize payment cycles. That's our accounts receivable versus accounts payable. Then we see negotiate with vendors and creditors. Managing cash flow effectively. Key cash flow management tips. Monitor income and expenses closely. Delay non-essential expenditures. Investment strategies in volatile markets. That's another subheading. How do we manage investment risk? Diversify portfolio. You diversify, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Spread investment across different asset classes to reduce risk. Avoid panic selling during market downturns. Don't go and rush to sell your stock, to sell your shares, or to sell your property. Then we say focus on long-term growth potential. We have another subheading here. Investment strategies in volatile markets, continuation. Safe investment option, treasury securities, mutual funds, index funds. Treasury securities here is a government-backed investment with low risk, like our treasury bills. That one is risk-free. Again, when you go to portfolio analysis, when they tell us one risk-free rate plus beta factor. So the one that's classified risk-free rate here is an example is the commercial paper treasury bills, risk-free. Leveraging technology, here we go now. We'll go and see some practical. Digital tools for financial management, budgeting, very, very important. As a matter of fact, to me, the very first step you even need when you are planning your finances is budget. And what is budget? A quantitative expression of an organization or individual plan in monetary terms. If you have a plan, this is where I want to go tomorrow, or this is what I want to do tomorrow, and you are able to assign monetary values to it, that is a budget. And to do this budget, I know you can use Excel, you can use different, including some accounting software. But today, I want to show us a cloud-based tool that you can use in preparing your budget. Now, see the tool here, budgeting apps, Mint, then YNAB. These budgeting tools help track income, expenses, and savings goals in real time, provide automated categorization of spending habits, offer alerts and recommendations to improve financial discipline, enable better cash flow management for individuals and businesses. Then we have another tool, AI-driven financial advisors. We leave this for future webinar, or some of you who will participate in our next masterclass program coming out in Abuja, Nigeria. I think that should be April. Dr. Lambert will give us details later. You can join. Then we have real-time analytics platform. This provides up-to-date financial data for better decision making. Still continuing the role of big data, leveraging technology, enhancing decision making with predictive insight. Use large-scale data analysis to forecast market trends and financial risk. Let's leave all this. Then, finally, before we take the practical, very brief, we have the human side of financial management, which has been dealt with. The last paper, emotional intelligence in financial decision. And here, see, recognizing emotional triggers. Identify emotions that influence financial decisions. See something here? Fear. Some people buy out of fear, panic, greed. And it's one of the things that is killing our nation. Greed. Anxiety. That's another one. Avoid impulsive spending or investing based on emotions rather than logic. Put your mind to work. Understand behavioral biases that can lead to poor financial choices. Then we say managing stress and anxiety. Develop coping mechanism for financial uncertainty. Meditation, exercise, time management. The human side of financial management, still continue communicating effectively with stakeholders. Then the last one here is building a resilient mindset. I said during my introduction or keynote address that the mind is the battleground, battlefield, where the battles of life are either won or lost. If you win in your mind, the probability that you're going to win in real life very high. But if you lose it in your mind, no matter the tools in your hand, everything has to do with the human being. Put two people under the same condition. Of course, their reactions will not be the same. You put Mr. A in the office with AC, he may look at that as an opportunity for him to rest and sleep. But put another person under the same condition. This is an opportunity for my brain to work for gains, because God has given us our brain for gains. Say, make your brain work. It will sweat first, then later it will bring us sweet. We have cases of companies who thrive by implementing cash flow strategies during recession. Amazon is one of the companies, and you will read this case later. We all know the story of Amazon. Then we have a case of an individual, Sarah, who also thrive different strategies, and especially our own case, see the lesson we learn. Businesses and individuals who adjust strategies during crisis tend to outperform those who resist change. I say it again, change as time changes and adapt yourself to the environment. Stop complaining. I advise people we should stop this blame game, blame government, blame your uncle, blame your father, blame your mom, blame your brother, blame your friends. No, stop the blame game. God for everybody, every man for himself. Do all you need to do, and the story will be different. Now we'll go straight to the tools for financial management. If you have your laptop with you, launch your browser. I will just start this thing. Then wherever we stop, you are going to continue. And another option I have here is I'm going to look at these items also, these tools for financial management. We can do a teaching on video, which we will share because of our time. So all you need to do, we have see what am I enlightening now? ynab.com/sign up. Once you do this, launch your browser. I've launched my own browser. Let me share now. See it here. I'm pasting ynab.com/sign up. Enter. It will take you here. I'm sure you've seen the screen. Just put your functional email address. See it now. Try YNAB free for 34 days. Even in Freetown, there is no free food. All these things, trial version. Later, they will ask you to upgrade. You pay monthly subscription. I'll quickly show us to see how this thing work. And exactly 5 minutes, I will stop. Wherever I stop, you continue. User friendly. Just follow the step. My email, Paul Adejola USA at gmail.com. Then password, just put any password. Start your free trial. Watch now. No. Can you see? Say first things first. People call us why not? What should we call you? First name. Say Paul. Continue. Hi, Paul. How do you hear about us? Influencer, YouTube. You can select. News article. I'm just picking because of time. How do you feel about your finances today? Stressed. Are you stressed? Maybe you are online, you are stressed. I want to hide. Don't hide in shame. There is a way out. Unsure, not much. I will just pick one. You continue. We can help. Hundreds of thousands of neighbors have changed the direction of their financial lives. Let's go. Who do you spend money on? Myself, my partner. This one give you opportunity to choose. I spend on myself, of course. Money answered all things. It's not I love you, I love you. You have to also spend. I spend on my spouse. I spend on kids. You can choose all this and so on. Continue. Share your subscription with the ones you love. Together feature as F countless partner. Let's go. Continue. Tell us about your home. I rent, I own, order. I pick order. Can you see it's user friendly? Do you currently have any debt? Credit card, student loan, auto loans, personal loan? Here is America. Even when you have your cash, they discourage that. So I'm picking credit card. Then continue. Getting out of debt isn't all about sacrifice. Liz and her husband paid off 50,000 K, that's dollars, debt in a few years. Everyone can pinch money for a reason. Let's leave that one. You can read when you do your own. How do you get around? Do you have your car? That's what he's asking here. Public transit. Let me put car. He said continue. Which of these do you regularly spend money on? Grocery, phone, internet. I pick internet, personal care, clothing, especially our software. We love fashion, sophistication, and fashion conscious. So we say continue. Which of these subscriptions do you have? Music, maybe subscribe. Audio, ebooks, you can pick as many. Online courses, you want to empower yourself, continue. Another surprise expenses, let's look at the expenses that sneak up on you. I'll just say continue. What are some expenses that always sneak up on you? Annual credit card fees, I'll pick that because of time. Are you saving or planning for any of these? Emergency fund, new car. I think I want to change my car. I'm also thinking of having a new. Then, where do you want your money to take you? Let's have some fun. Let's leave that. What else do you want to include without stress or guilt? Charity. I will stop at that. Hang on. Your priorities are. Then set your first target. Your plan is taking off. The next step is to have targets for a few of these expenses. A target is how much money you need and when you need it by. So once you get here, I will click let's go. Can you see that? Continue without target. If you have targets category, maybe you pick some of your targets, then continue. I'm just going there. Continue. Okay, I can as well go back because we ask you, what do you have? Your current saving. Add account. See something here. Link. This application allow you to link your bank account direct to monitor your expenses. But on link here, I'm going for the unlinked one. Is asking that you give it a nickname. What nickname? I'll say Polo. I can give it Polo. Then what type of account are you adding? Is it savings or checking account? What we call a current account in Nigeria. I've put savings. Then what is your current account balance? See that question now. Let me put 5,000. This is where we stop. Next, done. Success. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can see here, as soon as I put 5,000, that's giving me my account balance. But if you link directly your bank account, if you have it online, it will connect and link it. Next step will now be to be assign your money based on your area of needs, not wants. I can say continue here and set aside in savings category. Let me show us continue. At the end of the day, I'm clicking and finish because of time. At the end of the day, see what I have assigned activity available. By the time you fill this one after the other, it will help you to budget based on what you have available. I think I will stop here. You can complete this when you settle down. I will go and conclude. So with this one, I just demonstrated. There's no time to do the demonstration, the second one called Mint. Mint is another powerful cloud-based budgeting tool. You don't need to go and be using formula, using Excel. That one is ready-made online from beginning. So it's supposed to be from current now. Let me conclude. Action plan for attendees, key takeaways. Assess your current financial situation. That's number one. Number two, build an emergency fund. Number three, develop a flexible financial plan. And four, use technology to enhance decision making. Call to action, begin implementing strategies immediately. Delay is dangerous. Procrastination is a thief of time. Keep saying that. Then in closing, let me leave you. We start with opening verses. So I will leave us with closing verses. All right. The very first statement here. Can webmaster admit those who are just joining? By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. He who fails to plan is planning to fail. It's a popular one. See, a budget is telling your money where to go. Can you see that? Instead of wondering where it went. Another one, say, an investor without investment objectives is like a traveler without a destination. And I tell people, no matter how far you have traveled on a wrong route, If you really want to arrive at your destination, you have to make a U-turn or make a bend if you want to get to your destination. And Mark Zuckerberg is telling us the greatest risk in financial management is not taking one at all. Remember the finance balance. The higher the risk, the higher the return. Life is all about risk. And Benson, the host of blessed memory, said it is risky not to take a risk. Final thought. Resilience is built on preparation and adaptability. Financial stability requires both strategic planning and emotional intelligence. Together, we can navigate uncertain times with confidence. Question? Thank you for your attention.
Wow, what a wonderful presentation. Please, can we unmute and just give Prof a big round of applause for another very deep and insightful presentation. Thank you so very much. Oh, great. Thank you. So that has been.
Thank you.
All right, please, you can mute now.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
sir.
Prof. Thank you.
That has,
Nice presentation, sir.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That has been the second.
Everybody say thank
you.
Arigato.
Thank you.
Okay, so all right, thank you very much. So that has, please hold on. You have some very important information to release. So that has been the second presentation on financial management in uncertain times, strategies for resilience and stability, by no other person than our very erudite, well-respected Professor Paul Adejola. Thank you very much, Prof. Prof, by the way, is the regional representative based there for ACCSA Global, based in the United States. Now, remember, I kept saying it. ACCSA is about to unveil something on how to earn money in dollars, but I'll come to that shortly. But just like we had with the session with Anne, when we're looking at emotional intelligence, we're going to take a few questions. Now, I see that most of my students in Bingham have saturated our chat box with their details. So please, students of Bingham, you can be dropping your details now. So if you want to ask Prof a question, please, you have to raise the digital hand. When you raise the digital hand, I will call on you. I'm sure we can accommodate up to 3. We'll take all the questions together, and then Prof will address them, and then I'll come back to us shortly on the very important issue about how to begin to earn in dollars. All right, so if you have a question, this will be a good time for you to raise your hand digitally. Okay, I see one person is raising, is it his or her hand? Oh no, the person has dropped again. So if you are raising your hand, please kindly let me see digitally.
They remove yellow card. They cancel the second yellow card and give you straight red. Who is that? Arsenal get red card.
Ashiro Lamide, will you be quiet? Okay, so now I see one of the students, Anne Ene Adiku. I know her very well. She's the class governor of the MSc class. So Anne, unmute yourself and ask Prof your question.
Thank you very much. Prof, thank you very much for the presentation. I was your student in my BSc and also your student in Annan. So it's good to see you.
Great to see you.
So thank you, sir. So my question is, we are talking about uncertain times here. There are times where, let's say you prepare a budget. We know how things have been in Nigeria recently, where today you're waking up, fuel price is 600 naira. Tomorrow you wake up is 900 naira. The day after you wake up is 1,000 plus. So you've set a certain amount of money in your savings and you've decided that, okay, this is what I'm going to save, and using what is currently happening in the country, I am going to forecast that from now till December, I should be able to save this amount of money. Then at the end of the day, in December, you are even running into minus than plus due to the uncertainty of things actually happening. How do we, aside self-discipline, which I feel it's a bit difficult right now to actually be very disciplined when it comes to things that are outside our control, which other ways can we rely to help ourselves? Thank you very much.
Let me quickly address
that one.
That's
a good question. Okay, please go ahead, Prof.
Let me quickly address
I was thinking somebody else. Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Let the second person take maybe the question.
All right.
Yeah.
Somebody raised hand, but the person has dropped again. Okay, I'm seeing a hand. Emmanuel Guche. Please, Emmanuel Guche, go ahead. Emmanuel Guche is always very active in our webinar, Prof. I must admit. He's an MSc student who is currently on his dissertation. Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Please go ahead. And Adiku, I've sent you a private WhatsApp
thank you,
chat.
Dr. Lambe, and thank you, Prof, for that great presentation. Please, my question goes this way.
What up?
Gen Z, please, just
Master,
a minute.
help us mute these people.
I'm muting them.
Okay.
I'm muting them.
Okay, my question goes this way. When you have money, if you do not spend it, you have two options. Either you save or you invest. But in the current palace in Nigeria now, when you save, we understand the current inflation rate, which is about 24 point something higher. That means your money will definitely lose value. When you invest, for instance, now you want to invest in a government bond. The last time I checked, a bond of 2 years was about 18 point something percent. While currently we have, based on inflation rate, how do we go about this? Because definitely, if you save, perhaps in 2 years' time, definitely because of inflation issue, your money will lose value. If you invest, the return on investment, for instance, the government bond, which is about 18%, is lower than the NPR now. The NPR now, which was released by CBN recently, was about 27.5%. Thank you, and over.
Thank you very much. Prof will react to the questions now. Okay, I see, Prof.
One?
If you don't mind, I just saw another hand now.
Okay.
It's not giving me a name. Okay, it's not giving me the name. Please, Prof, go ahead.
Let me start from the last question. And your submission have addressed the very first question. When you prepare budget is not realistic. And in budgeting, they will tell us budget are flexible. We have realistic budget, unrealistic budget. During the course of presentation, I did mention make your budget flexible. Flexibility in the sense that you make provision for the fluctuation in the exchange rate. That's if you are doing your budget. Now, maybe it has to do with Forex. But if we want to use our nation as an example with inflation, it means in your budget, you factor in inflation. And what we are saying about budgeting and factoring in whether inflation or fluctuation in foreign in currencies, that when you keep money to meet a particular need, I'm not advising us to go and put your money, whether one savings account or especially current account, where they even charge you, they debit your account for keeping your money with all manner of policies. Even if you are not debited for the services they are rendering, are you aware? Of course, I also have my app here. For transferring money, they debit you. Even for keeping your money, they debit. The best thing to do in seasons such as this that we will find ourselves, that money you have kept aside for purpose of meeting future need should be invested. That's the best option. Put it in an account wherein returns will come in over and above the inflation rate. I'm not just teaching you theory. Time is not permitting us to really dig deep. This is what I do. Recently, let me give you an example. And some of you who want to dig deeper and you have some good money and you want to invest, you can maybe private chat me or reach Dr. Lambert later. We'll share information. We have a private school in Abuja, Nigeria, White Knight Academy. That's the name of our secondary school. We started that school 2018. And we want to build a multi-purpose hall. What I just did, I have some money that's been lying idle like that in the bank account, some millions. So I have this financial institution that an agent talked to me about, tested and trusted. I've been investing there. All I just did, okay, let me fix this money. Let me invest in the treasury bills for 1 year. And as at that time, the interest rate, 26%. 26%. You have two options. You either collect your interest upfront or you wait till maturity. If you don't need, just like the first person asked that question, that before you know it, in 2 years' time, the value of your money has diminished. Now, what you do is compounding. If you don't need that money immediately, you invest at 26% at maturity. Instead of even withdrawing the interest rate or part of the principal, you can reinvest both the principal and the interest. That's compounding. Compounding. In that case, even if inflation is going to affect the value of your money, it will be minimal. Your case is better than somebody who just keep money. I have 10 million naira, just keep 10 million there in current account, doing nothing. In 2 years' time, you will be talking about multiply 10 million naira by 26% for 2 years, including the principal. So going back to what I did, I just fixed that money and I asked them to pay me my interest up front. Today, that project, we started December, late December. Now we are at the roofing stage to roof. And one of the reasons for a training like this or this webinar is that honestly, we should just, it's mindset. We should just have that resilience or prepare our mind that I will not give excuses, so I will not be excused out. I will not take life casual, so I won't be a casualty. There is always a way out. Ours is to look for a way out and to stop the blame game. If we say because of inflation, because of the global economic crisis, or because of the fluctuation of exchange rate, we will now fold our hand and do nothing. Honestly, the case will still get worse. I'm not prophesying that, but in the midst of those challenges and darkness, we say the thicker the darkness, the brighter the light shine. So when I ask you that you have some money, it doesn't have to be one huge money. Save that I'm referring to is not just to save in an account that they will be charging you for keeping your money. Look for investment opportunity. I think I've taken care of those questions. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you very much, Prof. I think this is also a very good place to kind of anchor it so that I can just deliver that very interesting news, which I cannot wait. So what we will do, Prof, is that let me quickly deliver that very good news, which I'm also excited to share with a whole lot of our students I'm seeing, and it's excited to everyone. And then we'll come back to you and
Dr.
Anne.
Lande,
Yes,
please take note, all our partners, we have Anne,
yes,
still online,
yes.
then Dr. Afaglu and all our
And
partners across the globe.
yes,
We send,
globe, yes,
we
sir.
share all the link because it's global. So go ahead.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's very much. All right. Please, students of Bingham, I see you have been dropping your details. So this is a good time now to drop your details. I repeat, I'm going to keep closely to all the conversation we've had. So PG, undergraduate students, PGD, MSc, PhD, please drop the details on the chat box. All right. Now, there's no time for wrap up, but I'd like us to know that we have learned about emotional intelligence from Anne. Prof has rightly shown us how to build our resilience in financial management times. So suffice to say that all of these materials will be hosted on the website. So you may wish to visit www.ACCSA Global, one word. I repeat, www.ACCSA Global, one word.org. There you can get this particular resource materials and several other ones. Once again, I want to appreciate all our students from Bingham who have joined. I see you in your droves. Now, I want to quickly share just a Word document and give us this very important news. Now, as part of bridging the digital divide, the ACCSA Global, the board right there in the United States, have taken a decision, of course, in conjunction with our very able Prof. I'll be surprised if there's anyone on this platform, apart from maybe some of our youngsters who don't know Prof. I suggest you dig more details about it. So in conjunction with Prof in these usual characteristics, ACCSA Global has come up with what we call digital challenge. Digital challenge. Now, this digital challenge is going to be open to 1, all ACCSA Global members, 2, all non-ACCSA Global members, and everybody at large. And there will be an opportunity to win the first prize, which is $1,000, and I repeat, $1,000. You can do your exchange rate and know what that is in Naira. The second prize is $800. Third prize, free, $500. And then there'll be consolation prizes for the 4th to 10th persons, $100 each. Now, what is this challenge all about? The ACCSA Global Challenge is going to be focusing on mastering Excel, the simple Excel that we all know, that we all have on our laptops and on our different systems. So this is a call to all accounting and financial enthusiasts, including our ACCSA Global member. And I'm already looking forward to some of my very wonderful, smart students in Bingham to take up this challenge as well. And perhaps let's be the winners of this fund, but it's open to everyone. Now, the digital challenge is a digital challenge focusing on accounting and finance in conjunction with Professor Adebayo and Professor Paul Adejola and ACCSA Global, like I've mentioned. Now, this event will take place precisely on a Saturday, April 12th of this year. I repeat, April 12th of this year. That's just a little over 1 month from now. And the digital challenge will be happening simultaneously online from the different clients. So it's going to be precisely by 3 p.m. Nigerian time, 9 a.m. US time, 10 a.m. Canadian time, 1 a.m. Australian time, 6 p.m. Dubai time, 10 p.m. Chinese time, 2 p.m. UK time, and 5 p.m. Istanbul time. Now, how do you be a participant in this ACCSA Global Challenge, which, like I've told us, is a focus on Excel as part of ACCSA's vision of bridging the digital divide? Now, everybody is open. I mean, registration is open to everyone, and it's free. You're not paying anything, whether in Naira or in dollars. I mean, the ACCSA is that magnanimous. Now, registration, I must say quickly, we close as soon as the targeted number of participants. So it is good to start the registration almost immediately. Now, this is the point. To register, okay, there are a few steps. Now, all of these things will be articulated into some form of details, and then it will also be shared to us. But let me just guide us on the steps to registration. The first thing would be to subscribe to a particular YouTube channel. The YouTube address is right now on my screen, www.youtube.com/digital-tools. All of this is one word, with a dash, prof.adebayo 4054. Don't worry, we're going to share the address. So you will go there and subscribe to that YouTube channel. Now, you will also need to register with a particular link, accsaglobal.org/digital-challenge. Now, through the link, as part of the magnanimity, everyone that wants to be part of this digital challenge can now download free, but you must register first before you can download the resource material. So when we call it a digital challenge, it doesn't mean you will be left on your own. There's a resource material online that will be downloaded. You're expected to study and master the resource challenge in readiness. Now, you are going to receive a code requiring you to join on the day of the digital challenge that will be sent specifically to only registered participants in the registered email address. So summary of it is that you register both on the YouTube channel and on the association's website. You download resource material, study like any accountant, any digital accountant, and be ready. Now, the digital challenge will be online on the precise day, and I've just mentioned again, it's April 12th. Now, whilst everybody, is participating in the digital challenge, is going to be customized in such a way that there are going to be different levels of the challenge. And once you complete any level, your scores is known. So the person with the highest score automatically will qualify to earn $1,000. The second prize, like I just mentioned, very clearly, let me repeat. The second prize is, just a moment, let me go back there. I want to be sure the price is $800. Yes, and the third prize is $500. Now, for those that will come fourth to 10th, there's also the consolation prize of $100 each. So this is the beautiful news that we're bringing to us, from ACCSA Global. And I want to encourage everybody to immediately register and be a part of this digital challenge. You earn your dollars free, but just make sure you put a little bit of effort into it. So thank you very much. It is on this note that we are going to try to wind down and we take our concluding comments. Please, I want all our participants, all our partners in the UK, in Australia, in Dubai, in Turkey, in Ghana. I see Dr. Fabio is still online. We'll send all of these details to you. So participation can be across the globe. It's not limited to Nigeria. Even our partners in the US, across the entire globe. In Kigali, everybody is free to be a part of this digital challenge. And as time goes on, we will unfold more information to us as well. Thank you very much. It is on this note that we'll begin to call it a wrap. Let me quickly, just Prof, if you don't mind, a minute. We have our regional rep for a sister body to ACCSA Global, the CIB, Certified Institute of Business Entrepreneur. Mrs. Abose de Famuyiwa, can you please unmute and let's hear your goodwill as well? Being the regional rep for a sister body to this particular association. You have the floor, please. Is Ms. Famuyiwa still online?
All right, maybe she's
okay. I think she'll be joining. All right, so this is a good time for me to quickly hand over back to Prof for his closing comments. Prof, I don't know if we should take Anne first.
All right,
before you
then
come
let's
in.
take Anne.
Okay. All right, and we're coming full circle now in our conversation today. So we'd like to get your closing thoughts, your closing remarks. We'll go to Prof and then we call it a wrap. Over to you, Anne. All right. Prof, maybe perhaps we could just take you while Anne is coming around.
Yeah, maybe she left. Or is she still online?
She's online.
All right, thank you all. I thank everyone from different parts of the world who have joined this webinar. This is the February edition. It will be ongoing. We still have other editions coming. Ladies and gentlemen, especially I'm directing out to accounting students. Someone will say this statement has been overflowed, but that's the reality. It's working. The basic difference between success and failure, poverty and prosperity, peace and crisis lies in knowledge. That's information. When you now practically apply this information, you are bound to be different, to have different results than others. Thank you for being part of this webinar. We are looking forward to receiving you in our future editions. To our partners around the globe, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining. And thank you for identifying with ACCSA Global. One other important information, I'm not sure our partners are aware that only a couple of weeks ago, is it up to 2 weeks, that the federal government of United States formally approved ACCSA Global and granted us that tax-exempt status. And this one leaves ACCSA Global with a lot of opportunities. There is no limit now to how ACCSA Global can apply for funding, even from the federal, from state, I'm talking of US. Some other people may be saying, why is it happening? I'm not thinking that way because I'm not everybody. People are complaining during the era now, so far so good, the experience with our current president, things are tough. The question you will ask, why is it that under his own administration now, ACCSA Global has been granted that approval? With this approval, to those who are members of ACCSA Global, more recognition globally. That is the meaning. And one of the other important benefits of this federal approval is that IFAC, World Bank, United Nations, all without any iota of doubt will be willing to partner with ACCSA Global. So tomorrow, don't be surprised when you see IFAC, ACCSA Global partnering together to provide some certification courses. Thank you again, our anchor, Dr. Lambert. We really appreciate you. I will also convey this to the board that you are representing ACCSA Global wonderfully. And before I leave, let me quickly share something. Just look at the screen for those of us still here online, patient enough. If you notice, this one of the flyers, when you go to the website, I think it's also on the website. instead of you typing all the link out, you can just scan. You can just scan off. The first one, scan the QR code to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Is there? That's the YouTube channel dedicated for the Global Challenge. Then you can scan the second one to register. Then use this link to access the study materials. Aside downloading the PDF, when you go to this third step now, you even see a video tutorial already. That's module 1. It's already there. So it's not only PDF, there are video tutorial. There are just 5 modules. I've just done with the module 1. So module 2, module 3, and 5 to 4 and 5, you also have them. The faith coming by hearing and hearing. When you listen and listen, sometimes reading may be laborious, but when you listen and watch, you don't doubt what you see and what you hear. Thank you again. I'm looking forward to receiving you in our next webinar. And I think the latest one now is this April before the next webinar. I'm looking for one of the students from Bingham. We go away with that prize, $1,000. We are proud of Nigeria. We are proud of ourselves. And I say this, it doesn't have to be white for it to be right.
That's
right. It doesn't have to be white for it to be right. So I won't be surprised if it's somebody black from Africa, from Nigeria, that will emerge, because you are competing with other people from other part of the world. And thank you again for your attention. Well, enjoy the rest of your weekend and evening.
Thank you very much. Please don't forget the masterclass that Prof talked about is on portfolio management and financial modeling, April 23rd to 25th, right here in Abuja, the Nigerian Army Resource Center. Thank you very much, everyone. You can unmute now. You can say our bye-byes. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you, sir. See you all.
Bye.
Thank
you, Prof.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I can see my staff. Dr. Lambert.
so much.
Thank
yes, please,
It's
Prof.
not a problem.
Lambert, Professor.
ACCSA Global staff. We are all there. I can see
Right, okay. Why you are saying
David.
why you are saying goodbye?
I can see. I can
all
see
ACCSA Global members. All
Pastor
ACCSA
Adebayo,
Global
Mr.
staff.
Samuel.
Miss Farida,
Bye.
Miss Samuel, Madam Chidimma, Bella. Bye bye,
You can see
everyone.
our able membership secretary.
Bye, sir.
Yes.
Bye, man. Bye,
Yes.
sir.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Such a wonderful session.